Hello and welcome to the Snowflake session. Today we are going to learn how to upload multiple flat files into a Snowflake table. So to achieve this, we need to create certain Snowflake objects and we'll be running some Snowflake scripts. So let's get started. So the first step is we'll be creating a named file format. So this file format specifies the kind of file that you are going to upload. So for example, it could be a CSV or a XML file. Then we will be specifying what will be the delimiter for this file. So delimiter is a character that segregates different columns or fields in a file. And the next could be how many records to skip while reading the data from your file. For example, your file might have its first record as a header, which indicates the names of the columns. So in this situation, we will specify the skip header as 1. And there are other multiple options with file format that we can specify. The next step would be to create a stage in Snowflake. So a stage is an internal area in Snowflake that we need to specify. And this is the stage where we'll be uploading your multiple files. And they will remain in the stage area until we copy these files from stage into the table. The next thing is we'll be running a put command that will actually put the files into the stage area. The next one would be to copy the files. So the copy into command can be used to copy the files from the stage area into the actual Snowflake table. And finally, we'll see if there are any files that are not loaded properly into Snowflake due to some error. Then we'll see how to fix those error and reload the files. So let's move to the next session of creating the file format. Okay, so before we create the new file format and a new stage, we would first need create access on my dev role. So this is the role that I'll be using to create the file format and stage. So let's grant the create access for these objects. So I'm running these statements now using account admin privilege. Okay, the grants have been now given to the my dev role. So I'm going to here create a new table called as store transactions. So this table will store all the data from these flat files that will be loading. So let's create this table. The table has been created. The next statement is to grant all the DML operations on this table to my dev role. So let's run this statement. Okay, the statement has been executed successfully. Now, next, let's move to the next topic to create the file format and stage. Okay, I have now logged in using my dev role, and let's now run these create statements. So the syntax to create a file format is create or replace file format, the name of the format, the type I'm going to use as CSV for this demo, and the field delimiter is a pipe. So the data in different columns or fields will be separated by a pipe, and the skip header property is set to 1. This means our file has got one record which will act as a header. It has got the column names, and while loading the data into the table, this one first record would be skipped by Snowflake. So let's run this statement. Okay, the statement is executed and file format is created. The next statement is to create the staging. So create or replace stage, the name of the stage, and the file format that we are going to use for this stage is my CSV format, the one we created before this. So let's run this statement. So it's done. So now remember that whenever we upload a file into a Snowflake table, uh, it is up to us whether we have to use this same CSV format, or you can specify a separate format as well, file format as well, while copying the data into a table. Uh, Usage of this stage doesn't mean that we have to necessarily use this file format, which has been specified while creating the stage. So that's one point that we should remember. So now let's move on to the next stage to put the files into the staging area.
Okay, now we are going to copy our files into the Snowflake staging area. So before we do that, let's take a look at our files. So I got these four sample files, and these files have got the store transactions. So each of the file holds the transaction data for different stores. So let's open one file and just check out the data. So as I mentioned earlier, our file has got one header record, which we are going to skip while loading this data into the Snowflake. And this is our actual data, these four entries that will be loaded into the final Snowflake table. You can see that each of these columns is separated by a pipe, which is the delimiter that we have specified while creating the file format. And that's it. I got these other similar files in the similar format. Now let's run the put command to copy all these files into the Snowflake stage area. So before we do that, we need to log into Snowflake using SnowSQL. So remember that now that we are going to upload our local files into the Snowflake internal stage, and that's the reason we cannot use the Snowflake uh, cloud tool or Snow site tool. For that, we will be using SnowSQL. So let's log into SnowSQL now. So the syntax to log into SnowSQL is SnowSQL -a gives your account name, which will be and then will come our username, which is dev_user. Now it's prompting for the password. I already copied the password, so I'll just paste it here. We have now logged into the Snowflake. Now you can see that no database, no schema. That means we have not selected our database or our schema. Before we do that, let's change our role to my dev role. So, okay, so I have changed the role. Let's now select the database. And let's select the schema as well. Okay, we are now ready. Now let me type the put command. So the syntax is put, then file : / and since we are pulling the data or files from Windows machine, let me select the entire path where the files are located. And then I'll have to provide the file names. So we will use a wildcard to provide these store numbers, which are like 4-digit numbers. So I'll just replace these digits by a star. So this will ensure that it will pull all the files with name as store-transactions_store-id -star. Star means it will it will pick up all those files which have got any number of characters between this hyphen and the dot, and then the file extension CSV, and that's it. I'll end the statement with a semicolon. It looks like we have got some error. Okay, we have forgotten to provide the staging name. So let me just provide the staging name. Okay, our files are now migrated to Snowflake. So you can see that uh, this shows a bit of information. What is the source file that we have uploaded? Then the target. So remember that Snowflake will by default compress these files in .gz format and upload into the Snowflake. That was the original size of our files, and this is the target size. You can see that it's somewhat compressed while loading into Snowflake stage. Source side, there was no compression. In target side, gzip was the type of compression. Status is, it says uploaded, and that's it. Now we can also list the files located in this my CSV stage. If at a later point of time, if you want to check how many files are there, then you can uh, run a list command. So let me just run this list command, and it will be followed by the staging name. So my CSV stage. So this will list all the files in this stage. So that's how we can list the files. Now the next command is to copy these files into our actual table. So let's run that copy into command now. So the syntax is copy into, then comes the table name followed by our staging name, and then we will provide the file format that we had created. So the file format equal to, and within brackets we'll have to provide the format name, which will be my CSV format. Then we'll have to provide the pattern. Now since there is a specific pattern with regards to the file names, so the file names have just these 4 characters different for each of the file. So let's provide that pattern by using the regular expression. So now you can see that there are 4 digits. So for each of the digits, I'll provide the regular expression. And then comes the dot csv dot gz. I hope this will work, and in the end we can optionally provide on error syntax, which will be on error equal to skip file. So in case one of your files has any kind of formatting issues, then uh, Snowflake will skip that file and move on to the next file, so that other files won't get stuck. They'll all get loaded as long as they are in correct format. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, 4 rows produced. So you can see the result of the upload. So this shows the staging name followed by the file name, and the status is loaded. rows parsed 4 and rows loaded 4 for each of the files. And that's it. There were no errors. Now let's go and run the select statement on this table and just check whether the records have been really loaded or not. So I'm running a select query on this table. Oh, that's great. So we have got 32 records loaded into the file, into the table. And remember that I know the count is not correct because I'd earlier loaded some data into this table uh, before I recorded this video. So yeah, that's it about the uploading of the local files into the Snowflake table. Uh, just one thing regarding the SnowSQL. So SnowSQL is a command line utility that you can very easily install on either Linux or Windows machines. You can get the downloadable file on the Snowflake website. So you can go there and download this file and install it on your machine. And that's all about this lecture. Thanks so much for watching.